Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, worldwide TV network, iTunes 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, iHeartRadio, and all the other platforms around the world. So this is a special Sunday show. I don't normally do shows on Sunday, but it's always great to do an interview with someone new. Okay, Luke Namer, tell us who you are and where you're coming from.
Hey, yeah. My name is Luka James. I'm a recording artist, musician from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Greenwich Village, New York, but I'm living there now. And yeah, I come from a background. I was doing human rights documentary for a while, and then a lot of vocal workshops and hosting a lot of musician get-togethers throughout the city and actually throughout Europe as well. And over the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, I just dove fully into creating my own sound, my own music, and I'm really excited to share it with the world. A lot of fear with that, a lot of anxiety, and trying to build myself up every day with affirmations. But yeah, it's an exciting time.
Well, here's the thing. We all need affirmations. My God, I've been saying affirmations, I think, since 1994. Yeah, 94. Yeah, definitely 94. And they are very, very important, especially now, right? With everything going on. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, the last 2 years, have been tough because I think a lot of my validation was in person. If I played a concert or if I showed someone a movie or worked together with someone, it was like real time. And now doing stuff more digital, it's a lot easier to get into the whole like compare and despair judgment. And that could really be reflected back on oneself. So yeah, like affirmations, just like having a positive energy as when you wake up, just, not trying to compare yourself all the time, and like just allowing yourself to be your own best advocate is super important.
Talk about what's going on with your music. When did you really start dabbling in it, or have you always kind of been in it and it took a back seat because you were doing a lot of filming?
Yeah. So I've always been really musical. I come from a musical family. My sibling is part of the band, the FMs. My dad has been, trying to be a rock star, singing Neil Young and all that stuff to me as a kid. I played a lot of classical piano growing up and saxophone. But yeah, in terms of getting work out of college, I definitely dove more into the film world. I was just really excited to travel and work for human rights organizations. So I was in my 20s, I think I traveled to about 30 countries in 5 years, doing human rights documentaries and projects. Yeah, it was a really intense time. It was like I was living out of banana huts in Ghana, and I was living in Myanmar during a lot of like the unrest there. It was an exciting time, but music took a backward at that moment. But it is really I feel my calling, because even when I was doing film, the thing that most excited me was always like scoring the movie or thinking how to like cut the movie very dynamically. So when I was doing film, I was volunteering, teaching vocal workshops, I think called Music Collage, with a friend, Daniel Halper. We would just get people together in parks or bars or venues throughout New York and just get people singing. If you were a professional singer, if you were like someone who was freaked out about singing, we tried to encourage everyone to sing the way that like moving should be something that we all do. So that's where I came from. And then, yeah, these last 2-3 years, I just really dove into production, producing my own music, going deeper into piano, and trying to create a sound that I like. With my music, I really want people to feel accessible, like they can sing along, like they can feel the raw emotional spectrum of what movies sometimes do. I could sit in a movie and I'll just like bawl, and that's like the first time I'm crying in like a year, and a movie can elicit that emotional response. And so I want my music to allow people, especially people that feel like they don't have the access or the validity to like cry or yell or be ecstatic. I hope people through my music can get that cathartic delivery. And that's why I'm doing it, because it's my own journey, is to like tap into my emotional spectrum, the lows, the highs, to feel everything. And I think the music is gonna do that for people, and that's what I feel is the service in it.
Well, congratulations on that, especially for your humanitarian work and what you were recording. That is important to what I like to see and like I like to do. Plus, the world needs it. And and I can imagine the friendships that you gathered by traveling through those countries, because those are important. I think of what's going on in those countries now. It's a travesty, you know, and you know because you've actually been there. So congratulations on the work that you did, but also in now incorporating your music because they go hand in hand.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I think anything that we do, if you have the privilege to create art, there needs to be some sort of like social impact. And that could be as much as just making someone smile if they had a shitty day or if they had a bad day. But yeah, I think everything should be have some social feeling to it. The world really does need it.
Absolutely. That's why I always sign off a certain way. Talk about, I remember talking to your brother and I was like, I didn't know about the FMs, but I started listening to it. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. Why didn't I know about it? So it kind of goes back to you also more bringing out that musical talent from your family. That makes sense. And never went away. It was always there. You were busy doing something else, but it never left you.
No, I hear everything in music. Everything. The way I process life is through music. I'm singing throughout the day, and I didn't know everybody did this until I was invited to do a residency with Bobby McFerrin at the Omega Institute, and I saw him, and he's like such a role model, such an inspiration for me. And he was just singing throughout the day. He's like walking to lunch singing, you know, going to the bathroom singing. Everything he was doing, he was singing. I was like, yeah, that's like how I feel like throughout the day. And even growing up in New York City, it's like I hear someone cursing outside the street, or I hear an ambulance go by. I hear everything's like lyrical or like harmonies or composition. And so, yeah, it's fully how I see life or hear life.
So what's happening with you and Soho Johnny and the benefit concert? What are you doing regarding that?
The Soho Johnny benefit concert. I'm not 100% sure about that yet, but I will definitely find out. But I love to play, and anything that is a benefit for humanity, I'll be playing for sure.
What do you want people to know about your music, where it's coming from? Because I can tell it's coming from your heart, it's coming from your soul, it's coming from your chakras. Very, very important where it comes from now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's actually funny that you referenced chakras, because I did a yoga training, and then I was studying a lot of music production, and they actually talk about similar things in a way, but in terms of sound frequency. So you have things like sub bass, and then you have bass, and then you have like mid range, low range, high range, you know, like harmonic ambience. And then the way people will mix music is really trying to have a healthy balance between that full audio range. And it really made sense to me, even with the chakras, because you have like the lower chakras up to the higher chakras, and you don't want to be out of balance. And so, yeah, with music, I think it's super important that you feel the bass, you feel that like earth, the dancing, and then you also get lyrical, and that's a little bit more in your head. And then you have the heart, that could be like the guitar or the violin, the thing that just kind of moves you without really making sense sometimes. So yeah, it's definitely a great metaphor. It's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, and that makes sense on all of that because I understand. What is it that people may not know about you, but you want to express it through your music? What do you think that would be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the way I got into music was just trying to get everyone to sing, you know. And I think getting into music, it could be competitive, or it could be very like me. And I really want people to know about me is that I'm creating music so that when you hear it, you're inspired to sing along, you're inspired to make your own music, you're inspired to move. I host vocal workshops every week in LA, New York. I've done them in Europe. And so that's the biggest thing that I think is unique about my music, is that I came from it singing with other people and feeling really free and uninhibited about sound. And I hope people hear it and they're not just like, oh, anyone could sing if this guy's singing. But I hope they're like, yeah, like I could harmonize to that, or I could really feel that.
Yeah, I could see that. So you're in New York now. What was it like for you when you were locked down? You're used to traveling. You're used to having your freedom. What was it like to have that taken away?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I did this project with music. I recorded 5 songs because I actually had like a lot of people, you know, the world turned upside down with my work. I had 10 different projects I was working on. I had 6 in Europe, 2 in New York City for commercials. And then I had a project in the Darien Gap of Panama to work with the refugee crisis there. And one day, all of them like, it's like, doop, 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 like everything came in. It's like, cancel. I was like, I don't think I'm going to have work in this field for a long time. And so, yeah, it was intense. You know, I was definitely having to relearn my own mental health and like find it more within. So I was just doing a lot of meditation. I was doing a lot of music. I had access to a piano and I was just playing like 4 times a day. You know, sometimes I was just yelling at the piano and trying to be constructive. I took a lot of online courses on mental health. I was teaching yoga on Zoom, and I was also teaching vocal workshops. And that was really challenging at first because we do our stuff in person. But, you know, having like you too, I'm sure with your show, is just like learning how to do Zoom, feeling that disconnect with like humanity at first, being like, it was so much better when we were just like raw and we can hug and laugh. But I thought that it was really important to keep it up because people really needed it. You know, I saw everyone confined in their apartments and I was like, we need to like connect somehow. So we did those pretty consistently. But yeah, you know, I feel very privileged. For a lot of people, it was, I think, definitely more challenging in terms of lifestyle. If they were a parent, they had kids not going to school, if they lost serious work. But fortunately for me, I just was able to really dive into the musical creation.
Were you able to really connect with your friends outside the US too, since you are that worldwide figure? Because that's hard once you've left a certain country and because you've developed friendships and you want to make sure your friends are doing okay. I mean, I can imagine what your daily reach might be because I'm talking to 13, 15, 16 countries a day. It doesn't matter Saturday, Sunday, because I'm checking on my friends, but I'm also inspiring them to what we're doing on a bigger level of things.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's a really profound time for that reason, because I think more and more the world is going to go through these shared globalized traumas or these shared globalized
absolutely
moments where we're just like, oh, we really do live on the same earth. And that doesn't, not to say, I think people definitely were affected based off how marginalized you are or privileged you are. I think that there's different ways of experiencing the pandemic for sure. But I think at first it was like shocking for me to call a friend in like Myanmar or Colombia and then be like, hey, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like trying to watch movies and I'm just like learning how to knit, you know. It's like, wow, everyone like all over the world, people were like learning how to make sourdough bread. I was like, wow, this is like funny. We're like all in this boat together. So that was cool. And I think we need to learn from that. And you know, there needs to be more like this understanding that my action affects my brother's my brother's well-being, my sister's well-being, my neighbor. Your neighbor isn't just your neighbor on your block. Your neighbor could be a country over, and we're seeing that.
Absolutely. Give you social media.
Yeah.
Oh no, continue. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, going off that, you know, New York City, like a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden it was covered in smoke, and I'm like, where are these fires coming from? It's like, this is coming from the West Coast. So I think it's just like more and more we're learning how small this world and fragile, and how we really do need to have solidarity for everyone's experience.
Yeah, well, I think you'll have a kick out of this. So the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch is for those people who have lost things, whether it's through fires or whether through their loss of a job or they become homelessness. It's like you going to another country and helping out. Well, you know, we got a lot of problems here too, but I understand what you were doing because it just makes sense. And then just them having water, clean water, everybody needs clean water. You know, the West Coast will always be in a drought from now on. It's been in a drought for years. I think it's been in a drought for a decade. It's not going out of that. So one of the things when it comes to our ranch, I'd love to invite you, out once we start putting it together, it's called the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch, is because it's the work you were doing in other countries, if that makes sense. It's about showcasing your music in a different way. And it's about bringing our corner of the world and making it the better place that we can be. Sustainable, environmentally friendly. We have the water rights. And I know you talked about this in some of your films that you've done. You know how important that is, and growing your own food, because we have to get back to basics, because I don't understand people trying to go to Mars or try to go to the moon when they can't even take care of stuff here.
Yeah. No, it's a lot easier to probably grow things on Earth than it is on Mars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Give your social media links so people can come and check out your music.
Thanks. It's Luka James, Luka James underscore. That is my Instagram. And you could find Luka James Music on Facebook, and then Luka James on Spotify. You can, starting next week, you'll be able to pre-save a link for the new song Hazy Dreams. That's coming out, a song I've been working on for almost 2 years. So I think people are going to be really shocked and into it when they hear it. I don't think they'll have heard anything like it, in a good and bad way, maybe. But hopefully mostly good. And that's coming out September 30th. And yeah, please connect with me, message me if you're trying to sing, if you want to talk music, if you want to talk, how you can find your own voice. Yeah, it's been so fun just reaching out to other musicians and building that community. So I hope to stay in touch, and it's a really exciting time for sure. And to have conversations with people like you, that's what makes it so fun.
Spell that out for them too, because I want to go and check you out too.
Can you repeat that?
Spell it out for everybody also. Your name.
The song is HAZY space DREAMS, Hazy Dreams. And then my name is Luka, LUKA, James, JAMES, underscore is the Instagram. And that's where I'm posting most of my stuff now. But soon it will be Spotify. And also I have a YouTube channel, Luka James, LUKA JAMES. Yeah. So it'd be so fun to connect with anybody who's interested in music and all that jazz.
Well, and the reason why I wanted to make that important, because sometimes people are looking for people, including me, and sometimes it's hard to find them because it's one spelling, one letter may be off, or the song sounds the name, or someone's got the same name. So that's why. And I want to make sure that people can connect to what you're doing, because I think you're creative of what you've already done. That to me is important.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I'm really bad at throwing the tags and everything there. So I'm grateful for people like you. And also, yeah, like a lot of people usually spell my name with a C because they think I'm Italian, but it's actually with a K. And then also there's a really amazing singer, Luka James, who's like more R&B soul. And I'm pretty sure when I release music, everyone's just going to end up listening to his music, who I asked to follow. But Luka James is my name, and at least for now, maybe in the future it'll be something a crazier name that's a little bit more of a unique searchability. But for now, I'm just staying purely me.
Well, what's funny about that? You just came up on my phone, which I think is funny. So I'm like, obviously, I'm gonna be following you, and then I'm gonna have the other girls follow you because it'll be interesting, because I've got a couple singers that love singing and they like meeting other performers, and they're on Spotify, they're on Pandora with us. And it's all about connecting and getting those people out a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that, because one of the things, it's been mentally difficult, like trying to release music. It's an interesting thing. My partner, she's an actress, and it's like she gets to like do taped auditions and these different roles and everything. And it's fun, and I do the reads with her. But with music, it's like you're just like you're like kind of naked, like, hey, this is me talking about my breakup. Like, I hope you find it interesting or whatever. It's like so out there. And I'm like, man, I wish I was like a Teen Wolf or like like an ER doctor, and then like you're really just kind of like get people to find your own story interesting. And that's what's really intense. And so, yeah, building community with other musicians and just being like, yo, like I'm out here too. I know, all these algorithms want to put us against each other, but like in the end, it's about lifting one another up. And there's plenty of room for all of us to share our heart. Everyone on this planet has enough like room to share their heart, or should have that room. So I appreciate what you do.
Oh, it's important. So what's your brother think of where you are right now in your music?
Yeah, that's a fun one. They've been really supportive and like one of my biggest fans. And that's been really funny for me, because they were always more the rock star and I was always more the one quietly playing piano in my room. They were the one with the loud guitar amps. And so it's cool that they're hearing my music. They've connected me to different people in the industry. Some advice I've taken, some advice I haven't, as all little brothers do. But yeah, we're pretty our sound is very different. And so I think it'll be fun for people who know both of us, but it'd be a dream to play a show for each other. We have actually played one concert together, and that was such a blast and felt like such a blessing and so surreal. You know, we've come a long way as brothers to like all the clashing growing up and now have this like beautiful thing that we get to share, hopefully for the rest of our lives. It's really a blessing.
I think that's great. Tell him I said hi, whatever you talk to him. That's, and hey, I'd love to have you come out to our ranch sometime next year, because what you've already done, what you're creating, fits right into our Dreamweaver Artist Project.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for emerging art and social impact and clean water, all those things. It's like, it's amazing that you're doing that, and I can't wait to learn more. Like, I hope everyone could take their passion and then have a social aspect to it, you know?
Well, I'm actually I'm gonna send you a link to it, because I always tell people everybody needs to have this. Look what's happening in Louisiana right now. Look what happens with Florida. Yeah. Look what's happening on the East Coast, the storms and stuff like that. These things are not going away. You've seen a lot of these things firsthand by you traveling, and you know how important it is to have water and food.
Yes. And I would say I'm glad I've had those experiences, because I had, you know, a decently sheltered life in New York City. A lot of good infrastructure here, and just living off a few dollars a day when I lived in Ghana and all these places. It's like, you know, people are resilient wherever you go around the world. They're making it's not something to have pity on or, you know, saviorism about, but yes, like we definitely have the resources to level the playing field as best as we can. And like, things like what you're doing with clean water is just like a no-brainer. You know, we have the ability to do it. So like, why can't we just turn on the faucet and make it happen?
So, and here's the other thing that you're like, we have the Williamson water rights. So you know how important that is.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I was working with clean water in Honduras even, and it's just like, some of them are just like private land, or, you know, like you can't put a pipe through it, or it's just like, yeah. And then you see what a lot of native tribes are doing, and just like trying to, you know, protect water after all the history that's happened. And it's like, still, we're like taking away people's access to like clean water because of petroleum. And I don't know, it just seems like, it seems like we're feeling the earth is shaken, and I don't know. It's a whole nother subject, but, you know, my music, I'm really about trying to get people in touch with the natural world. And a lot of my references and allusions and metaphors are about the beauty of nature, and how that helps with my mental health, and how it humbles my ego. And if someone goes into nature, you know, after hearing a song or seeing, you know, some of my cover art, that would be great.
One last thing real quick, because we can't get away from this, and it is about mental health too. Mental health is also the reason why the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch is a special place to go and visit once it's built up. It's about people are having mental health problems, and that's never going away. And it's worse now, as you know. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a big topic. It's a big topic. I grew up with my mom as a psychologist, and I think I always pushed away mental health because I wanted to be invincible. But around my 20s, I started having, you know, panic attacks and anxiety for the first time in my life, and I thought that someone was slipping things into my water. It's intense to feel sometimes, like, from within, there's something bringing you down. Like, it's your body and your mind is in full with like advocate, and it's really important. And I think capitalism and a lot of this world don't make it necessarily easy on our mental health, because they're trying to pivot us against each other. They're trying to get us to long for more and be dissatisfied with what we are at our core. So if you have people constantly selling you on the idea that you're not enough, it's not going to help. You know, that's why you're seeing things like, the more these like social media, technology, they're created to kind of make us feel incomplete. And then we feel that complete. We feel that whatever they're selling us to be a little bit more complete. So I think now is the most important time, whether it's finding a therapist or finding an advocacy group like the Dreamweaver projects, or friends, having a friend circle, having a journal, meditating, just to really, whatever you can bring yourself back and just like have it just be yourself, or people that you know are in your best interest, that are lifting you up, to like remind you that like you're more than enough, and that we all go through this. Like on Instagram, I might, you know, show myself laughing on a beach or something, but like within myself, it's not that pretty. You know, there's a lot that's going on with all of us. And I think it's an important reminder constantly.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of my co-hosts have that anxiety, you know, some of them depression and stuff like that. And I go, use the outlet, use our numbers, because everybody out there has got it one way or another. And, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I'm calling everybody from around the world. I'm checking in on my friends and newfound friends that I just met, sort of like you, to see how everybody's doing, because I understand, you know. One last time.
That's beautiful work.
Give your social media links one last time before we head off.
Thank you. It's Luka James, LukaJames _ is my Instagram, and Luka James Music is my Facebook, and Luka James will be my Spotify. Please connect. It would be such a blast building this big musical, artistic, supportive community. Thanks to people like you, Brian. So appreciate this time.
Oh, I mean, I think it's an honor to speak with you, because you've been to more countries I've been to.
That means nothing. That there's ways to travel and there's ways to not travel. You know, it's you can just go in New York City, if your eyes are open enough and you go to a place like Queens and you're just really taking it in an authentic way, that's going to 10 countries right there. So it's,
that's true.
It's all about how you do it. You know, it's all about how you do it. And it seems like you have a full heart. And so and the way you're even just talking to someone on Zoom, and if you're really listening to their experience and have that empathy, that's going to 5 countries right there.
Well, as I always say, if you learn to listen, you're listening to learn. And we will end with that. So I want to thank you, Luka, for coming on. Obviously, tell your brother I said hi. And I always say this: if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we will see you next week.